Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Green White Checkered TV. My name is Boomer Logan, and I will be calling the action tonight here at the Area 51 Thursday night Gen 4 series. Definitely going to be looking forward to 90 laps here tonight at Charlotte Motor Speedway. We are here on the 1.5 mile oval, and it should be an absolute blast tonight. Going to be flying solo tonight, so hopefully you guys don't mind listening to a little bit more of my voice, and appreciate everyone coming out, and those who watch back and after the fact. Always appreciate all of the viewership, and hope to see you guys in the chat hanging out tonight and asking questions, and should be a lot of fun. But we've got 90 laps here tonight at the 1.5 mile of Charlotte. Definitely it can be a tricky track at times. I mean, there's in these cars, your first couple laps, especially qualifying laps, you can run pretty hard, but obviously corners 2 and 4 definitely wall sneaks up on you. So it's going to be a lot of fun to see how these guys manage the tire wear throughout the night. And looks like for the most part for pit strategy, there may be a chance to try and stretch it on one pit stop, but we'll have to see how those yellows fall and see how that strategy plays out throughout the night. But 90 laps, a good chunk here tonight at Charlotte, and should be a good time. We're just about through qualifying here. We got another minute and a half here for drivers to put down their lap times, so we will get you those updated as soon as that is through and the cars are on the grid and ready to go. Shouldn't have any issues, hopefully, this week with SDK, so the beginning of the broadcast should be fairly smooth here, so we'll have to wait and see, but should be fun. So last week we saw Brian Wang take home the checkered flag, leading only 6 laps in the race. It was a sweep of the podium for Team Bootnaka as Sebastian Marin led the most laps of 52, but was not able to come home with the victory on a couple ensuing green-white checkers towards the end of the race. But Brian Wang outlasted Sebastian Marin there, and Kevin Freese came home in P3. So we'll see if those guys have what it takes to tackle the 1.5 mile Charlotte Motor Speedway tonight after 2 miles of Michigan last week. Next week we've got another big track going back to Pocono in Pennsylvania. So the 3-turn triangle there, so that should be a lot of action next week. And just noticed Taylor Caldwell, appreciate it. Looking forward to calling this race tonight. Glad you're chiming in the chat, and should have some fun here. We got about 15 seconds left of qualifying. I don't think anybody else, maybe a few people might still be out on track trying to get a time in, but so far 13 drivers have put a lap down, and once that session ends here in a couple seconds, we'll pull up that grid for you tonight. Looking about like half the field or so are going to elect to take a time, so we will get you updated here, see if we can take a look at the cars on the grid here. They will be joining in just a moment, actually on the front stretch here. I apologize, so we'll get that pulled up, and it looks like it is going to be Sebastian Marin on the pole tonight in that number 23 machine with Ryan Kelly, who will be to his outside. Ryan Kelly led the second most laps last week at Michigan and wasn't able to continue on and have that close out that good run that he was having there, but he'll try again tonight from the outside pole. Larry Yingling's running this week. He's in the number 3 position in that number 67 machine, and Maxwell Caldwell, another good qualifying effort. He's got another top 5 in qualifying. He's going to start in the second row on the outside. Chris Piscini rounding out the top 5 of our starting grid tonight for closed circuit racing, with Joshua Hanner, his teammate, in that number 2 machine. He's going to be on that third row on the outside as well. Kevin Freese and Andrew Palaci are going to be row number 4 for your starting grid tonight, and Austin Call and Todd Merkel will round out that top 10. Brandon Bernhardt with strategy call late in the race last week at Michigan. He'll be starting in that 11th position on the 6th row with Eric Laurie just to his outside. And we'll take you through that second page of that starting grid there. We've got James Moen in the Team Extreme Racing number 7 starting in 13th with James Ledford in the number 48 to his outside, row number 7. Adam Wood of Steel Horse Racing here, he's starting in the 15th spot with Jim Brooks, row 8 to his outside. Most of these guys towards the back of the field not electing to take a time, so that'll just be seating based on their I rating for ovals. As we look, we'll see the cars are starting to roll off here, so we'll get through the rest of this bracket, or this grid here, I should say. We got good Bud Steele and Rich Sanchez on row number 9 with Carl Henderson and Brandon Paul. In row number 10 with Brian Wang and Jimmy Pilan, starting in the last row tonight. So 22 cars in the Gen 4 series here tonight. Pull that tower up that you get to see all the names throughout the night. See where everyone's at. Obviously, one pace lap here, so we're going to go green. Lights are off on the pace car. As we come back around to the front stretch, the green flag will be thrown by iRacing, so Sebastian Marin and Ryan Kelly on that front row are going to have to wait for that starter to throw that green flag. We'll be there momentarily. 90 laps again on the schedule for the evening. A lot can happen in 90 laps here. Kind of expecting to see maybe at least two pit stops, so maybe 3 different green flag cycles, or we'll see where the yellows fall, but nonetheless, it should be a lot of fun, and can't wait to have you here for it tonight. As pace car is going to duck onto pit road. It's going to be the 23 of Sebastian Marin on the inside, in control for the restart as the green flag flies. We'll give you a chance here to crank it up at the beginning of this one. Settling into the pace there is the number 23 of Sebastian Marin, now being chased by Larry Yingling and Ryan Kelly. Maxwell Caldwell and Kevin Freese, your top 5. A couple movers early on. We've actually got Brian Wang already up 7 spots here in that 05 machine. He's all the way up to 14th from that starting spot of 21st, taking advantage of the early stages of this race. Adam Wood in that number 4 machine, that NOS Energy machine, he is up 3 spots right now. Just about everyone else kind of staying where they're at, maybe 1 up, 1 down, 2 up, 2 down, but not really any other bigger movers right now. But Sebastian Marin continues to paint that blue line on the bottom, leading this field around. An unsponsored car there for Larry Yingling in the red machine. Cool to see all the wonderful paint scheme that these guys have out here on track. It's another Dodge there for Larry Yingling. Lots of really cool paint schemes that we've noticed in the past. And it's got that old school Charger nose to it, so it's really cool to see what these guys can do in the paint booth on these cars and have some fun with it. Definitely, I know Gael and I talked about last week, for us it's definitely some nostalgia. I mean, this is, the formative years of my childhood growing up watching NASCAR and loving it. And really cool to see that these cars are back in a way. Obviously, it was kind of teased that the Gen 4 series car from NASCAR from the early 2000s was kind of released by accident, because this is actually what they call the ARCA series car right now. It's a car that's actually scanned from Junior Motorsports. It's actually a nationwide series car from the 2010 time frame, I believe, or maybe just before then, late 2000s. But they scanned that car and had that in the service as the ARCA car, and probably about a month or so ago, they managed to sneak it in there and give it 750 horsepower and say it was a mistake, and now we've got it in the sim. So that's what we're racing here on Thursday nights. So a lot of fun. These cars are definitely a handful. I mean, there's 750 horsepower, and there's not a lot of aero to these cars, at least not nearly as much as what you see in today's Cup Series. It's a lot to handle for these drivers tonight, but so far we've got Sebastian Marin continuing to set that pace at the front of the pack. A little bit of a four-car breakaway here. Sebastian Marin, Larry Yingling, Ryan Kelly, and now Maxwell Caldwell top four, and maybe throw Kevin Fries in there as well. About 5-car breakaway. Chris Passini's the first car outside of that top 5, and there's a bit of a gaggle here. Joshua Hanner, Austin Call, Andrew Palaci, and Todd Merkel now working in the top 10 here. Got a few more chiming in the chat. Appreciate all you guys hanging out. Definitely miss having you up in the booth here, Django, but appreciate you chiming in, and glad we're here to cheer you up after a long day. And got a fan of Andrew Palaci here, so let's go on board with him for a moment. So we can pull up that gyro cam here. So he's working again in the ninth spot now. Fairly comfortably in the top 10. Got a couple cars ahead of him running side by side. Gonna try and see what he can do to sneak on the inside of that number 2 machine, maybe, of Joshua Hanner. And he's got definitely a front windshield full of that Tide Ride and the Blue Deuce. So lots of cool throwback paint schemes, as we already mentioned. Seems like we're fairly strung out so far. We've got about 12 seconds or so from first to third. And actually, while I say that, we've actually got a change at the lead there now. Larry Yingling working on the bottom, trying to get around Sebastian Marin. Sebastian Marin says, no, I'm going to try and take this back on the high side. Not quite enough for Larry Yingling to get there and keep that pass made. Lots of momentum still on the high side. I think the bottom, for the most part, is still going to be the preferred groove for most of the night, but there's definitely some opportunity to try something different. And you got to move around when you're trying to catch a car ahead of you. You're never really going to pass somebody if you're running the same exact line as them, so got to try something different. And that's what Maxwell Caldwell has been doing, because he's actually up to the 3rd spot. He got around Ryan Kelly there for the 3rd and 4th spot. Ryan now demoted to 4th from his starting position of 2nd, with Kevin Fries starting to creep closer into the picture of the top 5 here. 13 laps through this one on the 90 we have for the evening. This is the point where you kind of see a little bit of the guys really starting to feel out their cars. You know, obviously, you know, it's not a lot of not a long distance into the run, but it's enough to know that, you know, you're going to have a little bit more tire fall off. And sometimes, you know, myself, especially when I practice for my own league, don't always have the best long run practice. So usually this is about the time where I'm hitting the longest run of any preparation I have had for the race. So you get to a point where you kind of realize, you know, they definitely got to practice those longer runs and see where the car is going to end up, where those tires are going to be. It's going to change throughout the night, throughout the run, and you see that sun setting in the background there as we turn into the nighttime. It's going to cool off here, and we'll see how those guys can handle that. I appreciate the pronunciation there, Jordan. Hopefully Palaci is a better way to say it there, so you can correct me if I'm still wrong. I appreciate that. So Andrew's still working in that top 10 there. We've got a couple battles throughout the track. Obviously, we got a little bit of a battle here still for the 1st spot. Probably the closest battle here now is Austin Call in that number 2 machine of Joshua Hanner. We've got a couple back here. Brian Wayne, Todd Merkel, and Adam Wood. Little 3-car breakaway. And then Carl Henderson here working with James Ledford in the 16th and 17th positions, riding those old Ford Tauruses. Pretty quiet so far as everyone's, like I said, just kind of trying to feel it out. 17 laps and probably about halfway through a fuel run here, maybe a little bit under halfway. So we'll see where that pit strategy is going to be. I think if it's going to be 2 stops, 3 stints, it's definitely going to be that magic number of lap 30. And you kind of have to figure out, do you want to do the undercut? Do you want to try and come pit in early and get more laps on fresh tires while the other drivers, are still working on old tires? You can catch up quite a bit doing that way, but at the end of the run, you're going to be at the point where, you're not going to have as much tire as the guys who pit behind you. So you kind of have to figure out, do you want to try that undercut or do you want to try the overcut? We'll see. Some guys might actually have a chance to try and maybe stretch it out. I think just over 40 laps is what we said, or what I've heard for fuel. So if it goes green flag, that's definitely going to be tough to stretch it on one stop. But we'll see if anybody does try it. So we had a little bit of action towards the back of the pack as Eric Laurie came down pit road, I believe, already. Or no, excuse me, Bud Steele is actually on pit road right now, and James Moen. James Moen looks like he's actually out of the race already. At least he's in the pit lane and has been there for quite some time. But Bud Steele is down on pit road. Looks like he grabbed 4 tires and fuel, and he is back underway, pitting there on lap 16 for him. So he's a couple laps down now at this point. And before we get too much further into the fuel run and get close to pit stops, why don't we get a chance to take you through the field and get you to see more of these drivers that we've got, showcase them a little bit more in the field. So again, we've got that 23 car of Sebastian Marin leading every lap so far. There's a lead change for a moment there with Larry Yingling, but that happened on the backstretch, I believe, and so that would put Sebastian Marin leading every lap so far. Larry Yingling still holds that second spot that we mentioned, up 1 from his initial starting spot in that red 67 Dodge. Maxwell Caldwell rocking the all-black number 94 scheme. He's got some competition, though, as Ryan Kelly's going to get to his inside, currently running 4th. See if Ryan can get back to his starting position of 2nd. Trying to move back up as he looks like he's going to make and probably complete that pass there on Maxwell Caldwell. 5th place still is Kevin Freese, another Lowe's paint scheme, that number 25 machine. Chevrolet Monte Carlo up 2 spots for the evening. Gotta go about 2 seconds back, and we'll find Chris Piscini in the number 1 Pennzoil machine. Old Steve Park ride. Love to see those colors. Austin Call up 2 on the night so far. He's in the 64 Tide ride tonight with Andrew Palesci there in the number 82 machine just behind him. Brian Wang still our biggest mover of the night. He is in the 9th position. He's up 12 from his starting position. Making moves early, but with the field strung out, it's harder to pass as it gets further on. He's still got that wonderful Ricky Stenhouse Jr. paint scheme on the front of the hood of that car. And our winner from last week, but he's got Joshua Hanner just behind him to round out the top 10 in that blue deuce. About a second and a half back, we go back to Adam Wood here in the number 11th place in that number 4 NOS Energy machine, with Todd Merkel just behind him in the 22 machine. 12th place, down 2 from his starting spot, but still having a pretty solid run tonight. Another 1.5 seconds back is Brandon Bernhardt in that number 81 Chevrolet, making his 2nd start in the series. Find Carl Henderson here back in 14th place. He's got a couple cars around him still in that number 28 Havoline machine. Jim Brooks' first start of the season. He's in that wonderful Ford Fusion, Area 51 colors all over that car. representing the league here tonight. Rick Sanchez there back in that number 510 Jasper machine, up 2 spots from his starting position of 18th, and Brandon Paul just about a second behind him in that beautiful number 3 car. Dale Jr. 2004 Daytona 500 throwback in that number 3 machine tonight. James Ledford here running the old gray Ghost paint scheme with the nationwide colors on it from Dale Jr. as well. Good throwback cars all over this track. And we got the 071 of Eric Laurie here, currently in the 19th position. And Bud Steele's just to his inside. Bud Steele's already pit once tonight at lap 16. And speaking of pits, we've actually got Rick Sanchez coming in to get his first service of the night, lap number 28. So kind of trying to... we got a... Nope. I said there was a crash, but I think that was just Bud Steele coming to a stop on the backstretch, but we still stay green. So Rick Sanchez there coming down on pit road. He's going to try that undercut there, coming in a couple laps before the 30-lap mark. Obviously, 30 laps would cut it in thirds, exactly 2 stops if we stay green for the night. So I have to see what these leaders are going to try and do, if they're going to try and head in early. Brandon Paul actually in now, pitting from the 17th position, getting his service. And we'll see who's going to start coming here. Probably a few more to take to pit road, I would assume, here coming up here in the next couple laps. Unless people are trying to stretch it out as much as they can. Brooks also making his way to pit lane now too, making that first stop of the night. Meanwhile, the leaders stay out and stay green so far. Definitely pretty strung out so far. Between first and the last car that hasn't already pit is about 10.5 seconds back, so definitely quite a bit of drop off there throughout the run. You never know, there's a lot of time left, maybe make some adjustments, or I guess you can't really make too many adjustments in the fixed series we have here, but can definitely try and manage that tire wear a little bit better throughout the run and see where you're at. As you can see, that 23 is a little bit of a handful already, as he's getting off the corner pretty sideways, and that's one thing that unfortunately will not improve as the run goes on, but still working lap number 32 here for leader Sebastian Marin. He's led all of them so far. A little bit of challenge there at one point from Larry Yingling, but Larry's kind of dropped back to about 6/10 back, and Brian Kelly's another 6 or 7/10 behind him for the top 3 there. Definitely a little bit of a handful as these guys come off the corner. Maxwell Caldwell's fading back a little bit more, now about 3 seconds off of the leader, but still solidly in the top 5, and Kevin Treese pulling through with that top 5 position so far. See you guys hanging out in the chat. Okay. All right, Chris. My favorite track for the Gen 4. I mean, as far as favorite tracks go, it's always got to be, for me, Homestead. The progressive banking, the fact that it's an actual corner and not a full oval corners and not a whole tri-oval. I just don't know what it is about that track that makes it so special, but it's a lot of fun. For sure. And Muff Duff, that's me, Boomer, up in the broadcast booth. And yeah, I know you said who's the favorite here tonight. Obviously, it's like Django said, it's really hard to bet against Sebastian Marin there in the front. Larry's going to see what he can do to probably hang in there, and I would think that Brian Wang would have something to say if he can eventually catch back up to the leaders. Brian was our winner last week. He's up to the 7th spot now, up 14 positions. As he's Slowly trying to reel in Chris Bassini, number 1 Pennzoil machine. Definitely see if Brian has a chance to get back to our leaders. I think that would be one of the biggest ways to biggest challenges for our leader currently, Sebastian Marin. But Ryan Kelly and Maxwell Caldwell are definitely up there, keeping him honest so far. Now only 3/10 between Larry Yingling and Sebastian Marin up at that front of the pack. And no, I would not be the favorite tonight. Maybe the favorite broadcaster for the evening, but I think you know, obviously there's only one to go for there. But and if you're referring to the other Brooks disappoints me all the time as Gael, I think might have to give him some crap here and maybe agree with that. But yeah, we got Jim Brooks in the field tonight. Father to Gael Brooks, who was on the broadcast last week. Appreciate all that they do for this league, and Jim always running those Area 51 colors. Love to see that, and appreciate him and what him and Gael do for the league week in, week out, and on the broadcast. And Gael got me my start here in broadcasting here for Area 51, so have to thank both of them for that. But we're working on lap number 38 now, still staying out quite a ways, so I'm curious if these drivers know that they have a chance to split it into two. A couple guys have come in and made their pit stops, like I mentioned. Jim Brooks pitting at lap number 29. And for the most part, I think the rest that have pitted have more or less retired either from damage or other issues, because I see Brandon Paul and Rick Sanchez are showing as in the pit right now. Looks like Bud Steele and James Mullen may be already out of the cars for the evening, unfortunately. I would have to agree with you, Chris, about the Yingling. Definitely pretty solid beer choice if you have to make one. And moving from Michigan to Tennessee, that was definitely one of the perks to actually be able to buy it locally. So definitely a fun one. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, it seems like the number 2 of Larry Yingling's coming on a little bit more in this run. Was almost about 1 second back at one point, but he's now dropped to, or yeah, he's improved now to about 2 seconds, 2/10 of a second back, and seems to be making good progress. So we'll have to see on the long run here if Larry's got a little bit more saved up. You could see Sebastian Marin continuing to fight that loose condition with that number 23 race car. It's definitely not going to get any better throughout the run, as we mentioned, but I think they're all trying to get to that halfway mark before they pit to try and do it on one stop. So we'll have to wait and see, but definitely a handful for the 23, as even Ryan Kelly's starting to reel in our leaders just a little bit now, too. And that number 13 DuPont Hot Hughes machine. One point, most of our top 3 here was settled or separated by about 7/10 of a second. Now they're only about 3/10 of a second from each other, so you can see them here all in one shot. Sebastian's still continuing to hold on to that lead, though, as he clicks off now 42 laps led, working on lap number 43. Maxwell Caldwell still running in that 4th position, but he's got some company now. The 25 machine of Kevin Freese is trying to make it his way around him on the outside, and Brian Wayne coming all the way from the back, starting in 21st. He's up 15 spots now in the top 6, trying to have some fun making a challenge by not electing to qualify. And he's moving up the field quite a bit, as Maxwell Caldwell is actually going to make his pit stop here, so lap number 44. So they'll have to push 1 extra lap or 2 extra laps on this next stint here. We'll have to wait and see how that bodes well for him, but he's going to try and do the undercut as the rest of the field still continues on the racetrack. Yeah, Brian Wayne now up to 5th position with Maxwell pitting there. He is actually going to pit this time himself. Brian Wang and Sebastian Marin's also in, so they answer Maxwell Caldwell's call to get onto pit road for their service, and I would assume we're going to see a few guys trying to come fairly quickly here, as Larry Yingling is going to take over command of this race. Ryan Kelly, though, now within 2 seconds of him, as it looks like the 67 may be slowing down to take his pit stop. 13's going to do it too, and 13's going to make a lot of gain onto pit road there. Almost passes the 67, but now he's alongside of him, and that 13 has the first pit stall, so he has that opportunity to do that, to get inside there and try to make something happen. But he's definitely taking advantage of pit road speed a little bit more than the 67 is as well, and they're going to play nice as they get into their pit stalls. That's Ryan Kelly, Larry Yingling, Kevin Freese in this time, Chris Bassini, Andrew Palesci, Austin Call, all on pit road this time by. So that's going to give the lead to Joshua Hanner, who's also going to make his stop here. And then Adam Wood, coming off of turn number 4, is going to, I believe, get this lap led. Yep, there he is. 1 lap led for Adam Woods. That's a bonus point, actually 5 bonus points for the number 4 machine. A little bit of strategy, trying to stay out a little bit longer. Todd Merkel's still also trying to stay out there in that 22 machine. Carl Henderson as well, now promoted to the 3rd place. Joshua Hanner and Brandon Bernhardt on pit road this time. James Ledford as well. James Ledford's coming out of his pit stall after getting his 4 tires and fuel. Adam Wood in this time, so that gives the lead over to Todd Merkel. Todd leads that lap, gets those 5 bonus points for himself in the points standings. Adam Wood and Carl Henderson in. And that pretty much only leads Todd, the only driver to not have pitted yet. You're going to see a couple guys coming around him with tires. You're going to see how much of a difference tires makes here through 3 and 4, as the 82 makes it look easy on the outside, and the 1 of Chris Bassini. Definitely a huge speed advantage when you've got those fresh tires, as the 22 is going to give up that lead and take his pit stop for the evening. Kevin Freese there, that last time by, he just ran the fastest lap of the race, a 30.00, 30 flat. Sebastian Marin has the second fastest lap at a 30.08 that he ran during that first run, so we'll have to see if the track is cooling down and speeding up just a little bit. Not quite as hot and slick for these cars. A little bit more rubber down, trying to get a little more power down and trying to make better laps here. Is actually Larry Yingling's going to put down the fastest lap of the race. He says move over. And he's going to put down a 29.85 that time by. Getting faster here as the sun's setting and the lights are on. Nothing beats racing at night. Sebastian Marin, though, he's going to bring back that number 23 machine all the way back to the front. He's got a mirror full of Ryan Kelly, though, who's right on his rear bumper. Ryan was starting to catch the 23 machine towards the end of that long run, getting within about 0.6 of a second there. Trying to see what he can do to push the issue towards the beginning of the run to maybe get more out of the beginning, as Eric Lorry's slowing on the outside there into the wall, but he's going to continue on. So now that puts Larry Yingling about a second off of the lead. Most of that time, that second you see here on the track coming from that pit cycle. Ryan Kelly there getting alongside the 23 of Sebastian Marin. Ryan Kelly was about 0.3 of a second faster on pit road. And that advantage is enough to get him the lead, as he's going to take over on lap number 52 here. New leader, number 13, Ryan Kelly. Larry Yingling spent over a second more time on pit road. And I think that's the big difference that you see here, where Larry's about a second behind our leader now of Ryan Kelly. I apologize, Stuff RS. I see you chatting. I don't have a link to the Discord, but we can try and figure out how to get that information to you. for some of the schedule, at least if you'd like it. We've got Pocono next week, Iowa May 25th, Chicagoland June 1st, and Talladega June 8th. Watkins Glen will be June 15th, and Atlanta will be June 22nd. Take a little bit of the break here before we get into our playoffs, and then we'll have Las Vegas Auto Club, Nashville Superspeedway, and Homestead 3 weeks in a row from July 13th to August 3rd to finish out the second season here at Area 51 on Thursday nights. Again, in this Gen 4 Series car, as you see Larry Yingling now promoting his Gen 4 car to second place over Sebastian Marin, and we got maybe a little bit of an untimely pit stop, not sure, but Kevin Freese is on pit road, coming out of pit road. He had already made his stop, I believe. He got pushed down pit road, so we'll have to see if we can see what happened here. Pull up a little bit of a replay there, as we're going to see, looks like Maxwell Caldwell gets loose off the corner, comes across the nose of the 25. No caution thrown because the action was not on the racetrack. And, man, that's very unfortunate for the 25 machine of Kevin Freese. Saw him coming down pit road, but didn't make a pit stop. And that was because he's going to slide all the way through the grass here, through the pavement of the small oval in the infield of the tri-oval, and hopefully not make any contact with the wall, as it looks like he will come to a stop in the grass there just before pit road. But that is extremely unfortunate for Kevin Freese, as, again, Maxwell Caldwell little loose off of turn 4, and unfortunately it's going to put Kevin Freese back to 12th position, losing about 22 seconds on that last lap. See how he can recover throughout the race. It's pretty much been the most exciting thing that I think we've seen all night, unfortunately, for you guys watching the broadcast. So hopefully it's not too crazy dry with just me up here in the booth. But we still got, actually, looks like Ryan Kelly's going to put the number 25 machine of Kevin Freese a lap down almost here. Ryan Kelly now in that first position. We saw him take the spot over Sebastian Marin, and Larry Yingling again promoting himself to second place. Sebastian Marin there might have had a bit of a moment, or not quite sure, but he's about 2 seconds off of the lead here, so had to give up a little bit of time there. And Brian Wang still working really hard to try and see how far up the field he can come through, as he's currently up 17 spots on the night. Definitely a strong run for him. And we'll see how much further he can get, as he currently works in that number 4 position. Maxwell Caldwell, though, just behind him in that number 94. Coming off of turn number 4 there. Working on lap number 60 now, or excuse me, 59 this time by. Do a little bit of through the field here. Continue on as Austin Call continues to run in the 6th position, with Andrew Palesci in that number 82 machine in 7th. Chris Bassini there just in the background in that bright yellow Pennzoil machine, still in the top 8. His teammate Joshua Hanner just behind him. Qualified next to each other, and they're still running next to each other. Josh in that number 9 spot in that blue Miller Lite Deuce. Adam Wood up 5 on the night, currently in 10th position in that number 4 NOS Energy machine. I mentioned the woes for Kevin Freese, as he's now relegated to the 11th position. It's going to be hard for him because he's got a lot of tire wear from sliding through the grass, sliding off the racetrack, and then sliding through some of the pavement areas in the infield of the tri-oval there. So definitely going to heat the tire up pretty quick, and not going to be very happy with that car, unfortunately, for the rest of this run until he can get fresh tires. But we'll have to see how he can manage that. It would be a big deal if he could continue to try and stay on the lead lap, or maybe see the first car on the 1 lap down if he does get passed by our leaders. But he's starting to pull away just a little bit over Ryan Kelly. But we'll continue through the field here as Todd Merkel in that number 22 machine. He's down 2 spots, but he's still in the 12th position running tonight. That bright yellow and blue machine. Brandon Bernhard just behind him by about 2 seconds in that number 81 machine for Endeavor Racing. Carl Henderson's catching up to him a little bit there, as he's 5 spots up on his evening starting 19th, now currently 14th in the running order. Got to go another 17 seconds back to get to James Ledford here. Currently 1 lap down as well. Looks like everyone through the top 11 are 1 lap down as we're going to go for a little ride in the wall there for James Ledford. Unfortunately, that wall comes out, grabs you, and it doesn't want to let you go. But James currently running in that 15th position. Jim Brooks currently in 16th. Again, in the Area 51, number 51 machine tonight. Eric Laurie's had a couple lengthy pit stops here this evening. He currently finds himself in the 17th position. I believe that's pretty much everybody still out on the track. Brandon Paul has been in the pits for the last 20 minutes or so, so I think we can consider him to be out for the evening. Rick Sanchez, Bud Steele, James Moen have already retired. And Jimmy Pilen there in that 36 machine did not start the race this evening. But all this action and the closest battle on the track still happens to be our leaders, Ryan Kelly and Larry Yingling. Only 3/10 separating these guys now. Pretty much the closest battle on track here. As pull up, see if we can see here. Looks like Chris Passini is running down Andrew Palesci a little bit here. Chris is running that high line there, trying to get that momentum as the 82 continues to work the bottom lane. Definitely a few options here, as we mentioned. I think the bottom lane's still mostly the preferred lane, but you can definitely get a good run, good momentum around the outside here at Charlotte if you can hang on to it. Definitely going to be a lot. Definitely a handful for these cars as they come off the corners. It looks like both the 82 and the 1 machine have a little bit of right side damage from contact with the wall at some point or another. As Chris is going to make that pass down to the inside off of turn number 2. Put him in the 7th position, and Andrew's going to go back to the 8th position where he started the evening. So still a top 10 solid run going for both of these guys here this evening with 24 laps to go. So the closest battle on track here, we'll bring it up, is the leaders of Ryan Kelly and Larry Yingling. And they're still starting to reel in Kevin Freese there a little bit after Kevin went through that slide in the grass. As we mentioned, unfortunately, no caution for that. Was about probably 20 laps ago now at this point for Kevin there as he went for a ride as the 94 Maxwell Caldwell got loose off the corner, and unfortunately Kevin Freese was just there on the inside and was the victim of an unfortunate circumstance. I'm sure these guys in the lead would love to see him go a lap down, because Kevin definitely was able to challenge quite a bit for the race win last week at Michigan. It's always helpful if you can try and put someone a lap down, keep them out of contention of the race win, but there's still a lot of race left, even if there is only 22 laps on the tower there to the left of the screen. Just about anything can happen, but this battle still continues to be the closest on track. Safer, maybe this battle will pull up here for a second. The 28 of Carl Henderson seems to be running down the number 81 machine of Brandon Bernhardt as these guys work 1 lap down in 13th and 14th respectively. Looks like we got a little bit of a 3-car battle here we can highlight with still with Chris Passini, Andrew Palesci, and Joshua Hanner now throwing his name in that picture. About 0.3 of a second back from the number 82 machine in that Miller Lite Blue Deuce. And yeah, definitely Pocono should be fun next week. Looking forward to calling that action on Thursday of next week, again, May 18th. Still early in the season to really talk about points, but we've got that 12-race schedule with the last 4 races being our playoffs here. Be an exciting round in the playoffs there. Starting July 13th, we've got Las Vegas, Auto Club, Nashville Super Speedway, and Homestead. As I mentioned, Homestead, one of my favorite tracks to run. Probably, I think, one of the best tracks, period, in the service. And just about any car you can run there is a blast with the progressive banking. A little bit of a gap here now in the lead as Ryan Kelly pulls away just a little bit over Larry Yingling, reeling in that number 25 machine of Kevin Freese more. 51 of Jim Brooks employing the two-stop strategy. He's trying to get back to one lap down, I believe, here, as he is catching our leaders very quickly in the Area 51 colors tonight. Right along with Jim Brooks here on the gyro cam we've got here at Green White Checker TV. So have to be mindful of those leaders as they continue to battle for the race win here with 17 laps to go, but knowing that you've still got quite a bit to play for yourself here, as looks like Jim's going to be able to get just about to the bumper of the 25 machine. Pressure tires should put him ahead of them in just a moment, but we'll have to see as Sebastian Marin's actually starting to close back into this picture here a little bit now. He's only 0.6 of a second back behind Larry Yingling, so a little bit of action here up at the front of the pack to see. Ryan Kelly continuing to click off laps led here. Don't think he will get the most led, as I think Sebastian Marin has wrapped that up just about for the evening. Ryan will probably have to lead the rest of the race if he wants to get close, but like I mentioned, leading through halfway through the first pit cycle, I think Sebastian Marin is going to have that wrapped up here pretty shortly, especially with a couple cars leading throughout the pit cycle. As Jim Brooks continues to try and make his way back to one lap down, and he's got a little bit of a mirrorful of the 23 car of Sebastian Marin. Sebastian's definitely marching towards the front of the field. Lap car separating second and third place on your screen there. Jim being the green Area 51 machine. That beautiful Ford Fusion. See if he can get to the 67. He's going to get the 23, I should say. He's going to get to the inside of the 51. He's going to let him go and just let him know that he's racing for the lead with the leaders. So Jim Brooks just going to settle on back here. He'll be the first car 2 laps down. 25 machine of Kevin Freese is going to be our first car 1 lap down now at this point. And it's starting to get a little more interesting up at the front. Ryan Kelly stretching back out to a 0.7 of a second lead with Sebastian Marin. We mentioned he's now within 1 second of the leader. He's trying to make a move on Larry Yingling in that number 67 machine. See what the 23 can do, trying to get back up to the front. Backed up a little bit there at the beginning of this green flag run. Wasn't sure if it was from getting into the wall or some issues with the lap traffic, maybe, not quite sure, or just maybe just giving up a little bit of pace to try and have more at the end of the race, but he's got a little bit more in the tank. Is about 0.5 of a tenth there faster than Larry Yingling that last time by, and pretty much even to Ryan Kelly. Now a whole tenth faster than Larry Yingling that last lap. 1/10.5 even, if you will. Sebastian's starting to move to the front. He's still even with Ryan Kelly, about 1 second back from him. But Larry Yingling starting to back up to that 23 machine. And Brian Wang continues to be our highest climber, as he is still 17 spots up. He's only 8 seconds off of the leaders after starting way in the back of the pack and having to pass a lot of cars to get up to this point. I think the next highest climber is currently Adam Wood in the 9th position, up 6 spots. And then we've also got Carl Henderson up 5 in the 14th position. But that pales in comparison to the 17 that Brian Wang has passed this evening, working with 11 laps to go. See if he can get any more. Maybe not, though, because it's quite a bit of a gap to make up, about 8 seconds, as he now pulls about 1 3/4 seconds ahead of Maxwell Caldwell in the top 5 right now. Sebastian Marin has actually made his move there around Larry Yingling. See if we can take a look back at how that happened here. Makes move to the inside in turn number 1 and 2. See if we can pull it up about half speed here. I'll go a little bit faster there, but running on the inside. 67's going to hang on a little bit there. Got a little bit of momentum on the outside there, but Sebastian definitely having an even run down the backstretch and just sends it off into turn number 3. Has enough corner speed there. Looks like going to pull up just in front of him down the front straightaway. And that will be how the 23 machine promoted himself to second place. Back live, here we go. Now 0.8 of a second, 0.9 of a second, if you will, between Ryan Kelly, our leader, and Sebastian Marin, the 13 and 23 machines. Still trying to make something happen here tonight. There's still a lot of laps to go. Plenty of time to see what Sebastian Marin still has in the tank if he can catch the number 13 of Ryan Kelly, who's led most of this second stint after most of the field pitting just after or just before the halfway mark. Most of these drivers still continuing to paint that bottom white, blue, and white line. The shortest way around the racetrack for sure. You definitely see some more guys towards the back of the pack trying the higher lanes. Just to see what kind of momentum they can get and get more of a run, more speed on that high lane. Have longer distance around the track. It's a lot of fun to get a run off the top side for sure, but it's not something that you can always stick with every lap, especially if you're trying to ride the wall, because it's not an easy thing to do, and it's really easy to get a little bit loose and tag that wall, and unfortunately it'll ruin a lot of time, if not damage your car, and slow you down even more for laps to come. But Ryan Kelly continuing to hold off a 23 machine of Sebastian Marin there. 0.9 of a second, almost a second back. Ryan Kelly still pulling away. That last time by, they were within 1/100th of a second lap time. 31.99 for Ryan Kelly to a 32 flat for Sebastian Marin. Drivers are running about 2 seconds off of their fastest laps of the race right now, as that tire wear continues to fall off here on the long run, as we've been green the whole way so far. Now clicking off 4 laps to go. Ryan Kelly's going to see what he can do to continue this lead. That last time by, Sebastian Marin faster by about 0.04 of a second. Will it be enough over the last 4 laps for the 23 to at least get to the back bumper of the 13 and try to make something happen, as the 13 is going to be working on that lap traffic of that 82 machine and get that right front damage, unfortunately. Going to impede the 13 a little bit off the corner there, but shouldn't be too bad for him. Sebastian might be a little bit faster this time by, as he now gets up to about 0.7 of a second heading into turn number 1. But Sebastian's going to have to deal with the lap car of the 82. Maybe not. He's going to get by him before corner exit, have a clean run down the back straightaway, and we'll see what the speeds compare, the times compare, the lap times this last time by, as we're working on 3 laps to go. Two to go now for the 13 of Ryan Kelly at the stripe. Ryan Kelly faster by 0.5 of a second, that time by a 30.08, or 32.08, excuse me, to a 32.13. Again, these drivers are almost 2 seconds of a lap slower than their fastest pace of the night. But that's not going to matter for Ryan Kelly. He's going to come off of turn number 4 here. He's going to get the white flag this time by. He's got 4 corners to win his first race of the season, and a 0.7 of a second lead over Sebastian Marin to try and do it. Sebastian's going to send it in there into turn number 1, get up to about 0.6 of a second there. It might be too little too late, though, for that number 23 machine coming down the back straightaway. Ryan Kelly enters turn number 3 without any competition. He's going to come off turn number 4, make his way through the tri-oval, and claim his first checkered flag of the season. Ryan Kelly emerging victorious after last week at Michigan, having some contact during the later stages and green-white checkered finishes of that race at Michigan. He holds him off, though, this time, and he's going to be the winner of our second race this season. Definitely a great battle there towards the end as Sebastian Marin made quite a bit of headway throughout the field. Would love to see what he could have done if he could have gotten there. But it's definitely all the 13 car in the later stages, second half of this race after the pit cycle, as he's going to turn that car around. Do a little bit of a burnout here on the front stretch. Nice thing about virtual race cars is you don't have to pay for tires, you don't have to pay for fuel, and you don't have to pay for motors that you blow up during burnout celebrations. So burn it down, Ryan, burn it down. Congratulations. And that is the number 13 machine of Ryan Kelly emerging victorious here at Charlotte. We're going to take a minute to go through our top 3 finishers tonight, as we always do on the broadcast. So we will pull that first one up. Number 67 machine of Larry Yingling. Pull Larry up here into that broadcast booth and see how the race went for you tonight, Larry. What were you expecting here tonight in these Gen 4s at Charlotte, and how did the race play out for you?
I didn't really know what I was expecting. I haven't really messed with these cars much, but I don't know if it was the brakes or something, but it just felt like the car did not want to use the brakes at all with how much it would drift up. So that was throwing me for a loop a lot of times. I think the race went pretty well. I think like top 3 the whole time. The last half of each run, you definitely get pretty tight, and you can just feel that right front wearing off a lot. But yeah, all in all, I think it was pretty fun.
Yeah, it seemed like you had a lot of fun. I mean, like you mentioned, in the top 3 most of the night. Didn't seem like there really was too much with strategy, as just about everybody was able to make it just past the halfway. But were you kind of expecting that? I mean, obviously you kind of split it almost straight in the middle, but were you expecting that to kind of happen, or were you going to just wait and see where the leaders pitted? I know Sebastian pitted on lap 44. Were you kind of answering his call to that, or did you have anything else that you were thinking that it would play out?
Yeah, pretty much. For the middle, the first run, it looked like the fuel was about 46 laps maybe. So I thought we had to go as long as we can. Then within a handful of laps before we pitted, it seemed like we can go a little bit more. Then I knew Sebastian had a pit before us, or he would lose track position. So I told Ryan we should definitely go one lap ahead of him, just have an extra or one less lap tires than Sebastian, because we definitely need it against him. But yeah, I was actually surprised, but also very happy we went caution free. So definitely good praise to everyone in the race tonight.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe not as exciting for us in the broadcast booth, unfortunately, but I know that's something as a driver is probably you'd like to see that more so than a caution-filled race, I would assume, right?
Oh, I agree. I was definitely looking forward to them restarts too, but yeah, this didn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem like there really was much more you could have done. I mean, obviously, it looked like Sebastian had a little bit more of a long run pacer, even if he was getting pretty loose towards the end. I mean, you seem to have a fair amount of control throughout the run, but just a touch less pace than him and your and Ryan Kelly as well.
Yeah, I know that first run I was trying to pass Sebastian, but I was also trying to take it easy. Also, I just wanted to see what it was like trying to pass him and try to wear his tires down more. It seemed like he definitely wore them down a little bit more than me, or me and Ryan, at the end of the first run, so we were able to slowly catch him. Then the second run, he had a decent lead on us for pitting the lap before us, and he fell back. He fell way back. I don't know if he was saving tires big time, or maybe he had damage, and being a little bit slower from damage helped him save tires against us. But yeah, I think three of us were fairly equal for the night.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for the most part, you guys were within a couple tenths almost every single lap throughout the run. So definitely props to you guys, and even for staying green flag to finish where you did it. I mean, only 1.14 seconds off of Ryan Kelly definitely speaks volumes to your guys' pace, and even if it wasn't the most exciting show to put on, it's still impressive to see what you guys can do behind the wheel.
Oh yeah, these cars are definitely a blast to drive compared to the next gens and even the old Gen 6s, how their package was. It's definitely, even, just by yourself, it's definitely pretty fun to drive.
Yeah, would safe to say it's your favorite car in the sim, or is there another car that you like better?
Yeah, I think this would be my number one right now.
Okay. Definitely fortunate that iRacing, quote unquote, teased it or made the mistake, to put it out there. But glad that we have it here for Thursday nights now, and definitely good run for you. Still finishing on the podium. Start third, finish third, and want to give you a chance to give any thanks and shout outs for that podium finish you had tonight, Larry.
Definitely a shout out to all the guys in the Discord channel tonight during the race. Maxwell Caldwell, Andrew Pleshy, Ryan Kelly, James Lefford, Brandon Paul, and Austin Call. Big shout out to you also for putting on the broadcast, and a great win by Ryan.
Definitely. Well, congratulations once again, Larry, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, sir.
All right, that was the number 67 machine, unsponsored red Dodge for Larry Yingling, third place tonight. We'll pull up number 23 here in the broadcast booth. Sebastian Marin coming home in that second place finish tonight. Definitely seemed like you guys had a lot of good run pace compared to Ryan Kelly and Larry Yingling there. Starting to reel them in throughout the night, but it seemed like it was just a little bit too late for you to get there. But still a solid effort on your run tonight there, Sebastian.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, it was a good race. That first run battling with Larry, we kind of burnt our stuff up trying to just race each other. I wanted to back the pace down to save a little tire, but Larry wanted to go, but I didn't want to give up the lead. So we were fighting there pretty hard and kind of burned up our stuff, which is why I think the other guys were so close to us by the end of the run. And then I should have done a better job saving a bit of fuel to go that one extra lap. Because I think them going that one extra lap was just the difference in tire wear and fuel that I really couldn't overcome that's why I let them go early on in the run, because I knew I wasn't going to make it on fuel unless I saved, and I knew they had a tire advantage. So, yeah, overall, still a good race. Had some decent long run pace there, but I think we were starting to equal out, and I don't know if I could have passed him if I got to him, but yeah, just a good race. Happy that it went green. Usually there's a few yellows here and there, but glad that we got a green flag pit stop in there, and it was a lot of fun. And glad to see Larry come back out on track, man. It's been a while since we've seen him, so very happy to see back on track.
Yeah, definitely. He put on a great show tonight, and love to see that you guys were so close even after 90 laps of action tonight. But so you already answered the second question I was going to ask as far as what happened towards the beginning of that run, where it seemed like you just kind of backed off a little bit there. But we got that answer for you gave in earlier. But I guess I want to ask you next. It seemed like for a little while you were definitely having a handful off of turn number 2 and off of turn number 4 with the car getting looser and looser over the run. I mean, it seemed like you had a lot of fun driving the car more off the right rear tonight than anything. Have you been enjoying this the Gen 4 cars here in the league?
Yeah, I've definitely enjoyed the Gen 4 car. I'm still not that great at it, right? I mean, I say that, but I'm running out front. Like compared to other cars, I feel like this one I still haven't mastered it, I guess you could say. But yeah, tonight's set it was definitely driving off the right rear more than the other races. So I really thought it was gonna drive off the right front a bit, especially with the track being cooled off. But I definitely could have done a better job saving the right rear. It was definitely fun to wheel it, but I had to be that aggressive at the end of the run because I think Larry and the other guys had better rear tires than me. So I kind of had to wrestle the car just to run the same pace they had. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. I definitely enjoy the Gen 4 car. It's something different. So I really enjoy it, and I can't wait to race this thing around the other tracks for the rest of the season.
Yeah, it should be fun. We've got Pocono on the schedule next week, but yeah. So I want to ask. I know this is now 2 weeks in a row of finishing second place here. We've seen plenty of pace from you to try and maybe grab a win at some point in this season. But what do you think is it going to take to get to that top spot of the podium?
I mean, last week was just misfortune, just a little bit of bad luck with just how strategy played out. This week was just me. I could have just done a better job. So I don't know. Maybe next week, do a bit better race management wise. Take care of the car a bit more, and then I need to have a little bit of luck on my side too, because I could be leading with 2 to 3 to go, and a yellow comes out, and then things can change from there. So definitely take care of the car a bit more, and hopefully luck will be on my side a little bit.
Yeah, well, definitely. Well, definitely with all the pace we've seen you had earlier or so far, at least in this season, wouldn't be too surprised to see you up there at the end of one of these pretty soon. But still early in the schedule. Obviously, got a long way to go for the season, and definitely excited to see you guys do what you do and wheel those cars week in week out. But before I let you go, I want to give you a chance to give any thanks and shout outs for another second place finish here on Thursday nights this season.
Yeah, I'll say some thanks to the guys I was running tonight. The Boot Knockers, Brian Wang, Kevin Freeze, and Eric Laurie, just running this just to have fun, something different, very enjoyable. And I'll give a shout out to you for putting on the broadcast, and Area 51 for actually agreeing to run this car. I wasn't expecting it, but I'm very glad they did. I really enjoy this car and the way the season's going. So thank you to that, and I can't wait for the remainder of the season.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. Love to see that we changed up a little bit here from time to time on Area 51, but again, another great race run for you, Sebastian Marin, and hopefully interview you soon as the winner of one of these things. But congrats once again, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Have a good night, guys.
All right, that will leave us with one more interview, if you were counting, and that will be the number 13 machine of Ryan Kelly, who will bring in the booth, leading pretty much the rest of the second half of the race, and throughout the that second green flag run there, pretty much class of the field. How did that race go compared to your expectations here tonight, Ryan?
Yeah, I didn't know what to expect, especially with the track starting during the day and then going into night. I knew the track would change, so I was having trouble catching those guys at the first half, but had a good pit stop with Larry, and second half got out in front of him and kind of set sail from there.
Yeah, it seemed like you guys had a little bit of a strategy, and I think Larry kind of touched on it just a little bit, that you wanted to try and stay out at least one more lap than Sebastian to not really have to worry about fuel and maybe have one lap fresher tires. It seemed like that worked out pretty well in your favor.
Yeah, he's super, super quick, so to come up with that strategy just to have one lap fresher tires, I think it made the difference because he was definitely catching me at the end there, and I don't know how many laps I would have been able to hold him off.
Yeah, it seems like you guys were starting to even out just a little bit there at the end, so who knows, maybe if it's 100 laps, you never know. But it was 90 tonight, and you led that 90th lap and got the win. But definitely has to feel a little bit better after some woes you had in the final restarts at Michigan last week. Does it feel even better to come back to the track this week and earn this win?
Absolutely, and there are so many fast drivers in here, so it's real nice to get a win with this quality of of drivers, and for the whole all the drivers in the race to go 90 laps at this track in this car and not have a caution. It's a big shout out to all the drivers in the race.
Yeah, definitely. I think everyone's pretty much touched on that before, so it was really cool to see everyone stay green flag there for all of it. But yeah, I mean, we saw Sebastian kind of back up at the beginning of that second run to try and save a little bit of fuel. And throughout the first run, it seemed like him and Larry were kind of pushing each other to go harder and harder throughout the run. But did you kind of expect more or less that second run to play out that way, or did you think that Sebastian was going to be a little bit closer, or did you just kind of expect to set sail, or are you just focused on what's in front of you and not worried about what's behind you there towards the end of the race?
Yeah, I was trying not to think about it much because you start thinking and the lap times start getting slower. But I expected him to be quicker at the beginning of the run. I didn't know how much fuel he had to save. I know me and Larry had that extra lap, but I was very close to running at the end too. So he was probably having to save even more than we did.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it makes a difference. It wasn't necessarily a fuel mileage race, but having to save just a little bit and taking that off, definitely made a bit of a difference. But no matter what, like I said, you were there, lap number 90, leading the way and capturing that first checkered flag of the season. So I want to give you a chance to give any thanks and shout-outs for your first win here on Thursday nights this season.
Yeah, just all the teammates. It's good to have a lot of the original guys back together, and always a pleasure racing with them. And the admins and you in the booth, of course. And yeah, great race.
Definitely. Well, I will say a great run race for you and everyone else in the top three. It's cool to see, like you mentioned, Larry coming back this week. So cool to see him back. Some of the the key early Area 51 members, as I'm aware. So always cool to have those guys in the field, and you were the class of them all. So congratulations once again, Ryan, and hope to have you back up here soon for another interview.
Thank you, sir.
All right, that will do it for the interviews here tonight. We've got still to get through the rest of the field, though. There's definitely quite a few stories throughout, as we will pull up. See if we can pull up here. I'll pull up a few things here. Harder to get organized as just one person trying to run the show, but definitely appreciate the opportunity to do that this week. So we'll pull up the results here from the race. Again, we already talked to our top three finishers, Ryan Kelly, Sebastian Marion, and Larry Yingling. After 90 laps of green flag action, to still only be within 2 seconds of each other is still pretty impressive for those three guys. And we saw Brian Wang making a lot of progress throughout the field. Again, he was 17 spots up from his starting position of 21st, so really hard to do, especially as the field got strung out and those leaders got further and further away, and he still had to continue to battle with lead lap traffic. So making his way, cutting through pretty well. Not going to pick up the second win of the season, but he still pulls out a top 5 and a great points night as well for him. Maxwell Caldwell also finishing in the top 5. Pretty much had the only moment that we saw that was anywhere close to a caution, as he got a little loose off of turn number 4 and got into the 25 of Kevin Freese there a little bit, but Maxwell had a pretty solid night. Started 4th and finished 5th, so can't be too sad about that for points as well in that number 94 machine. Then Austin Call having a pretty solid night there and deep into the top 10 himself in that number 64 machine. Chris Bassini and Joshua Hanner, the teammates for closed circuit racing. Started again side by side and finished side by side, as Chris is going to take home that 7th place position tonight, and Joshua Hanner going to take home 8th in that number 2 machine. Adam Wood there just about 5 seconds behind those two in the number 9th position in that number 4 NOS machine. And Andrew Palesci coming home last car in the top 10 in that number 82. First car 1 lap down, but that doesn't matter. It's still a top 10 on the season. Kevin Freese there, we mentioned he had some troubles there with a little bit of contact with Maxwell Caldwell. Unfortunately put him 1 lap down in the number 11th position not quite able to recover from that. But Todd Merkel finished in the 12th position in that number 22 machine. Pretty decent night for him. And Brandon Bernhardt as well, finishing in 13th place in that number 81 machine. Carl Henderson in the 28 finished 14th. He was up 5 spots on the night. Actually, our third highest mover behind Brian Wang, 17 spots up, and Adam Wood, 6 spots up. So Carl up 5 there into that 14th position with Jim Brooks in the number 51. First car 2 laps down, finishing in that 15th position. James Ledford in the number 48 Grey Ghost Nationwide machine, coming home in 16th. And then we mentioned some of the woes for Eric Laurie there in that 071, coming home 17th. Brandon Paul, 63 laps down, that number 3 machine in 18th. And the last page of the results here, a couple more to go. Rick Sanchez retiring just past the 1/3 mark of the race as well, 64 laps down. Bud Steele, 66. And James Moen, the last car to have started the race. And then Jimmy Pilan, we mentioned, did not start the race, so he will come home 22nd tonight. But a lot of fun, a lot of action on track, even if it wasn't a lot of yellow flags. It's cool to see how comers and goers went throughout the race, throughout the night. Definitely very surprised to see the whole field go green flag throughout. It's very impressive to see the drivers of the league do that from time to time. It's definitely not an easy feat. Obviously, we had one moment there that didn't get thrown, or yellow did not get thrown because it was off of the racing surface, but still props to everyone in the league for running a great race here at Charlotte Motor Speedway tonight. As we mentioned, we'll be back next week on Thursday, May 18th. We'll be at the Tricky Triangle at Pocono. What turn 4? It'll be a couple long straightaways with some big sweeping corners. Definitely a big momentum track and a lot of fun to watch there. So please be sure to check back in next week and see that action. In 2 weeks, we'll be at Iowa, followed by Chicagoland, and then Talladega, some Super Speedway action. That'll be Talladega June 8th. And should be a good time. Definitely appreciate all of you coming out every night, every week to say hi and chime in the chat. Had a great active chat this week, so really appreciate all of you chiming in, watching the broadcast, having fun with us. Definitely helps make it more enjoyable. And I know a lot of these drivers also watch the races back after the fact, so we appreciate you supporting the broadcast as well after. And again, congratulate you guys on a hard 90 laps green flag run tonight. So we'll be back soon enough. Don't forget, we've also got action on Sunday nights. We've got the Sunday Night Xfinity Super Speedway Series here on Green White Checker TV at Area 51 as well. So if you want to see a lot of high-speed, fast-paced Super Speedway action every single week, week in, week out, be sure to tune in there on Sunday nights. I know a lot of those guys are really great at what they do, and definitely a lot more of interesting strategies and seeing different drivers having opportunities to try and win week in, week out with the Super Speedway style of racing. Some say it's it's more of a gamble or more of a crapshoot as far as who's going to finish where, but still exciting to see what those guys do. So check us back out on Sunday nights, and we'll be here every Thursday through the second series here in the Gen 4s on Thursday nights for Area 51. So I think that'll pretty much be enough of me talking for the evening. Again, appreciate everyone coming out. Hope you had a great time tonight watching. I always appreciate putting this coverage on and have a lot of fun watching these drivers and talking to the drivers and seeing what they do week in and week out. And it's really impressive to see these guys wheel these cars around even a virtual speedway. So appreciate all the support and wish you all a great week, and hope to catch you next week on Thursday nights. For myself, Boomer Logan, appreciate you all. Have a good night and a good week, and take care.